Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Good evening. First and foremost, I am honored to welcome all of you to the Bellows Falls Union High School Class of 2018 graduation ceremony. For those of you sitting in front of me today, graduating, congratulations. We have worked hard to make this evening a reality. We have put endless hours of time and effort, and today is our day. However, we did not get here alone. Behind every one of us, there is a combination of loved ones. A mom, a dad, a grandma, a grandpa, a sister, a brother, a coach, a teacher, a mentor, a friend, and hundreds of others who have supported us. My hope is that each and every one of you will take the time when the ceremony is over and before you start celebrating to give them a hug. Take time to remember and to thank them for what they have done, because in a very real sense, today is their day as much as it is ours. Without the support of everyone gathered here this evening, all of us graduates would not be here today. So thank you. To all of you who have encouraged us to persevere, not only throughout our schooling career, but also throughout our life's journeys. I ask you all to applaud them for me, with me, I suppose. For the past several weeks now, my fellow classmates and I have been asked how it feels to be a senior that is graduating. We quickly reminisce through the cringy moose dances I know all of us went to, first day high school jitters, the week of winter carnival excitement, and the stress of presenting our senior projects. In essence, we attempt to describe all of these events and responsibilities into one word and blurt out excited, nervous, or even sad. But we all know it's a feeling much more complex than that. It's a feeling that contains the unknown and the fear of change. It conjures a sense of too soon nostalgia, although we are desperately longing for the future that stands in front of us. It is here and now that we are leaving our childhood behind, and I think a good word to describe this feeling is loss. We sit here now in our purple and white gowns, wondering where our childhood has gone. A childhood that has been bonded by hours logged in the same cars, on the same practice fields, and on the same school grounds since we were 6 years old. It is wrapped up in memory of growing up among the same places that we have contained our whole lives. All of our memories have been intertwined with one another, and it's been the greatest gift that this community and school has given us. We generally view loss as a negative feeling. However, we should view it as an opportunity to grow. We are being given the opportunity to become the individuals we have always wanted to be, but in exchange for our childhood. It doesn't mean we must forget who we are or where we came from. Rather, it means it is time for us to grow and become greater than ourselves. There is a universal truth that we all have to face, whether we want to or not, and that is everything eventually ends. As much as we have all waited for this day, it is also difficult for us to embrace the end. Like the last day of summer, the final chapter of a great book, or parting ways with some of our closest friends. Yet endings are inevitable. The leaves will fall, you will close the book, and you will say goodbye. Today is one of those days for all of us. Today we say goodbye to everything that has been familiar and comfortable. However, just because we are leaving, there are some people and memories that are so much a part of us that they will always be with us no matter what. As we begin to say our goodbyes, I believe that Bob Marley has said it best. The beginnings are usually scary and the endings are usually sad, but it is everything in between that makes it all worth living. All the shared memories that we have gained from one another have only been the beginning of our in-between moments in life, and I hope all of us will obtain many more memories and stories that make life worth living. Once again, I would like to congratulate the class of 2018, and I encourage all of us to fill our lives in between moments with love, charisma, and optimism. Once again, welcome to the class of 2018 commencement ceremony. Thank you. I would like to present our first speaker, our class salutatorian, Hannah Harlow.
Class of 2018, I have a challenge for you. Take a moment to think about where you were the beginning of your freshman year. A few of you may be cringing, but try to look past the bad outfits and regrettable haircuts. Can you remember the goals you set for yourself, like, please, just let me get through the first day? Now, think about how far we've all come since then. All of our successes and failures that make us who we are. We have done some pretty awesome things. Too often, our class is looked at for our small numbers and inability to win Winter Carnival, which, okay, is pretty sad, but we can't let that define us. As such a small class, we can be forgotten sometimes, pushed aside, or teased. And when we don't have people praising us 24/7, we have to remember to do it ourselves. So, in case any of you forgot how awesome you are, let me remind you. During our 4 years here at Bellows Falls Union High School, there have been 12 state champion titles won, which the class of 2017 tried to take credit for last year, but we've added 3 more banners this year, so it obviously wasn't all because of them. In fact, our very own Shane Clark swept the state track meet this year with 3 individual state titles. Savannah Bradbury won back-to-back state championships our sophomore and junior years in women's discus. And Danny Marchica was a member of the state champ 4x1 team as a freshman. In reality, we were all killing it our freshman year, as we proved during our class trip when we were featured on the Jumbotron at least 4 or 5 times at the Red Sox game. To be honest, it was probably because the cameraman got tired of us yelling at him, but still that shows our perseverance. This year, our determination to finally top 3rd place in Winter Carnival pushed us to win 2nd place. This may not seem like a huge accomplishment, but when we're competing against classes with almost 2 times the amount of students as us, I think it's pretty impressive. I can still remember our excitement as people looked at us strangely for celebrating 2nd place so avidly. In fact, if you told me we cheered louder than the actual 1st place winners, I wouldn't be surprised. You see, we have spirit, and we have spirit because we have each other. We have some incredible and unique individuals in our class. We have students who are able to complete all of their credits needed ahead of time so that they could participate in work study. It takes serious motivation to accomplish that, and they got the reward, being able to work hard and earn money while the rest of us finished up our credits in school. This summer, Ethan Lauricella will be representing not only our class and school, but the entire state with our school's Envirothon team in the national competition for a 2nd year in a row. Thanks to the amazingly artistic Jacinta McAllister, we now have a beautiful mural of 2 terriers in our lunchroom. Also, a big thank you to Keenan Lowe, who, for our junior year Winter Carnival, built a lightweight aluminum handle on the back of his car just so it would be easier to handle during car push. I could go on and on regarding our class's accomplishments, but we're trying to beat a record for shortest graduation ever. See, even we know our class is small, and we joke about it often, but that's only because we know how strong we really are. So, if there's one message I would want to share with our class, it's that I am so incredibly proud of us. High school is just the start, and life has so much more in store for all of us. And guys, I am so excited to see what each and every one of you will do. Yes, our class is small, but boy, are we mighty. Our next speaker will be Ethan Lauricella with Not a One-Man Band.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for sharing this pinnacle occasion with the class of 2018. Having attended 3 consecutive Terrier graduations, it feels surreal to be speaking before all of you in cap and gown this evening. Many of you already know music is a very big part of my life. I have been an active band member ever since middle school, and playing piano is a major part of my life. The BFUHS band is amazing, mostly because of a very talented and dedicated conductor, Mr. Pelton. He brings individual musicians together to make music, but he is not the only conductor in this building. Everywhere you look in our school, other teachers are bringing students together to create their own type of music. Time after time, our high school succeeds when we figure out we are not a one-man band. Back in sophomore year, I had biology with Miss Steiner. The class was relatively interesting, with the final being a research paper on an invasive species. After reading my paper, Miss Steiner came up to me and asked if I was interested in joining Envirothon. She went on to say my research of Japanese knotweed was very important to this year's Envirothon competition and thought I would be a good asset to the team. Thus, not knowing what I was getting myself into, I signed up. Unfortunately, that year there was not enough people to compete, but we were determined to create a team for the next year. The nature of Envirothon is that there is such a vast amount of information to learn, not one person can learn it all. Each team member is entrusted to master one of the 5 subject areas. No pressure. During the competition, no individual can succeed alone. By steering us towards collaboration, Ms. Steiner prepared us well for our state competition. We needed to step up when we had the information, and we needed to step back to let our peers' contribution shine. Because we transformed from unknowing individuals to one working team, we were all able to win the state competition 2 years in a row and compete at the international competition. Our school's success could not have happened without the support of our hometowns. Over and over again, school budgets passed, buildings got renovated, and scholarships were awarded. Just as importantly, our town would cheer for us at athletic events, applaud for us at performances, and stand by us through every challenge. This amazing community has been a big part in making us who we are. Thank you, Rockingham, Grafton, Athens, and Westminster. Thank you to the parents, grandparents, aunts, and uncles. Thank you, neighbors and friends. By directing your light in our little school, you have helped to make us shine. Now I'd like to invite Regan Balbazero to read A Few Lessons Learned.
Some of the first lessons we learn in life are taught through trial and error. Don't touch the hot stove, sit still at the dinner table, and don't lock the bedroom door if you don't know how to unlock it. While each of these precautions have proven to be more than important, it will be the lessons we have learned from the small town of Bellows Falls that we will take with us in the fall. Lesson 1, appreciate the little things. Because not much goes on in our modest little town, we turn small tasks such as grocery shopping or driving around into memorable adventures, instilling a creative charm in each and every one of us. Lesson 2, it's the journey that counts, not the destination. Living in Bellows Falls, where everything is located at least 2 hours away, we often spend more time on the journey than we do at the actual destination. These last 4 years are just one leg of our incredible journey through life, a series of chapters we won't forget when we eventually reach our future destinations. Finally, Lesson 3, you're never really alone. From the full bleachers at every sporting event, to sold-out drama performances, to the numerous scholarship funds organized each year, it is evident that the members of our community are behind us, cheering us on and lifting us up, even when we make a few mistakes along the way. For this unconditional support, we would like to express our gratitude. Thank you to our families, teachers, coaches, and other community members for believing in us and giving us a place to come back to, a place to call home no matter where in the world we end up. As we look around us today, sitting with the same classmates we sat with during preschool graduation, I can only be excited for not only the lessons we will learn, but also the lessons we will teach. Congratulations, class of 2018, we made it. Our next speaker will be Faith Byfield, presenting Searching for the Senior and Senioritis.
I had to fail 2 online classes before it hit me that maybe self-motivation wasn't my strong suit. This honestly surprised me though, as I've always worked better alone. And unfortunately, like many of my fellow classmates, senioritis hit me pretty hard these last couple of months. I could even argue it hit me the hardest, for I seldom experienced this type of issue during the years prior, always confident in my ability to muster up just enough energy to type up that last-minute paper, inevitably sending it to my teacher the day before it's due at exactly 11:59 p.m. However, this year, that spark seemed to fizzle in the wave of stressful tasks that, though at one point manageable, now played the role of an immeasurable and borderline unbearable force in my life. Essays trumped my creativity, tests stumped my memory, and I was struggling quite a bit, but I didn't really want to admit it because for some reason, graduating high school has been deemed some easily achieved feat. The dark circles under the eyes of my fellow classmates will tell you otherwise. To clarify, we are very tired. Desperate to hang on for those last couple of months, I searched tirelessly for that driving force. I sought motivation between the bindings of my favorite books, cherished songs from Disney movies, and even the display case of pastries at my favorite coffee shop. That last one a bit more than I'd like to admit. But I was exhausted. I was ready to be done. Then a couple of months ago, I ran into one of my classmates at the coffee shop I frequent. And despite the fact that we don't talk much anymore, I soon found myself sitting down beside her, chatting away as freely as we had in middle school. And it was lovely. She told me her two most daunting tasks at the moment. The first, finding a new historical fiction book to read without being seen as nerdy, which she totally didn't. And the second, she had no idea where she wanted to go or what she wanted to do after high school, while all of her other friends did. And it scared her. Despite this overwhelming fear, she persevered, confident in her ability to set aside this fear and focus on the things that made her happy instead, with the stunning conviction that, amongst the hesitant hodgepodge of enjoyable things, would be the answer to her question. And when I assured my classmate that her uncertainty was far from catastrophic, normal even, she smiled. I also left the cafe with a smile on my face that night, for I gained my newfound motivation. All of you. For the rest of the year, I would listen more closely to my classmates as they joked about how the stress would nearly kill them, relished in the relief of having finally presented their senior project, and worked extra hard to make the last days of school memorable for one another. Their struggles, their hopes and dreams, coupled with the memories of running around the yard playing manhunt as kids, ignited the flame that I needed to see my own goals clearly. And so I thank you, class of 2018. A class in which, if you sat in the middle of it, you could literally feel the lack of motivation hanging in the air. Nevertheless, as I sit before you, I see only the determination etched across each of your faces, a determination that I will carry with me wherever I may go, never forgetting that home is where my fire roars. Thank you. And now we have speaker Sarah Scarlett, who also happens to be the inspiration behind my speech, with Where Else?
For those of you who know me, you have probably noticed that I'm a pretty excitable person. I tend to get way too eager and emotionally invested in things that certainly don't require anywhere near the amount of attention I give them, but that being said, I want to stress how I absolutely could not be prouder to be a part of this class and to have gone along this crazy ride with you guys. There are so many routes you can take with a graduation speech. Should I talk about embracing failure and try and turn 4 straight winter carnival losses into a good thing? Should I speak to lifelong friendships and never-ending test sessions that weren't actually so bad after all? To encapsulate my personal high school experience, the same 2 words keep coming to mind. Where else? Sorry, everybody. Where else but Bellows Falls does everybody love to hate until they learn to just love the bursting community within such a quiet town? Where else on a dull Friday night do you pass 5 other cars scooping hot laps around the BF 500? Where else can you find a small little school of 300 sweeping the state of its championships and earning the name Title Town? Woo! Where else does the auditorium sell out on opening night and have record-breaking sales for the following night's dramatic performances? Where else can you get the support and confidence from both teachers and peers to succeed in any environment? Woo. Every morning when the alarm clock so rudely wakes us from our deep slumber, and every day when that minute hand on the clock in our math class just doesn't seem to budge, we think we hate school. We start counting down the days until summer, the very first day of school, and live for any vacation in between. But where else do we know we'll miss once it's all over? So yes, folks, if you haven't realized, I think I'm taking the nostalgic route for this one, but only because I can't believe that it is all over. I think that sometimes graduating high school is overlooked at as just a stepping stone that's a part of life, when in reality, high school and school has been our whole life. We are all we have ever known, and school is all we have ever known, and where else would we have wanted to experience it all? When I look into the crowd, I see the faces of my childhood. I see some that I've known since preschool, some that I met just this year, and some that popped in somewhere along the way. I see the faces of friends, teachers, and family members, every single person a part of the motivation that got us to this very point. I see the eager yet nervous look on my classmates' faces and know that same feeling all too well. However, there's more. Not just tonight, but throughout my time with these amazing people, I've seen drive, I've seen dedication, and I've seen success. Where else can you find a class with such aspirations and such determination to turn those into realities? Whether today marks the beginning of a lifelong career, the next 4 years of your education, or a trip around the world in hopes to find yourself, I promise that nowhere else can you find a group so ready for greatness. I hope that every one of you is feeling fantastic right now, because this day, the last couple weeks, the past 12 years have been huge. This is huge. But don't let this be the top. I encourage you to think to yourself, where else can I go from here? Because we are all capable of going so far. And when we are out there thriving, killing the game, where else do we know we can always come back to? I want to thank my classmates first. I think we taught each other more than anyone could ever learn in school. And to my teachers, that's not to discredit you at all. You guys are the reason that we are here and that the future doesn't seem quite so scary. I'd like to thank the town of Bellows Falls. Parents, community members, and everyone in between have shown unconditional support, rocking their terrier purple right through the off-season. There is truly nowhere else that I would have rather grown up, and definitely nobody else I would have liked to grow up with. And then I'm gonna use a prop. Where else can we go from here, class of 2018? Let us not only grow, not only prosper, but let's frickin' fly! Thank you. I'd now like to introduce Zoe Shem, the valedictorian, with her speech, Ruminations on a Hectic Whatnot.
There's this thing about quiet moments in the midst of noise. It's something that I can't exactly quantify or make tangible, something that's impossible to touch or hold. It's the breath of a single gossamer moment, the light spinning around a dance floor and a face stinging from salty sweat, from could-have-been tears. It's strange to me how intrinsically tied together joy and sorrow are. Sometimes I can be so happy my heart hurts. I can be laughing hysterically, and a flip switches somewhere in my brain, and suddenly I'm heaving great, boundless sobs. Crying when you're happy. Is there anything more human? And that might be an accidental quote from Doctor Who or something, but my point still stands. Because life is so complicated, and so long, and so truly magnificently joyful that when you're in the midst of it, when your friends are on the dance floor in their little red numbers with their makeup perfectly done, and their laughter is filtering across the room, and the music is crashing into your eardrums with absolute precision, and you've forgotten the words to the song, or maybe you never knew them at all, but you're trying to sing along anyway. That's my favorite time to pause and reflect. To take a breath and really look at their faces, to close my eyes and feel the salt on my skin, the flush of my cheeks, the cheap vibrations of the music and the laughter on the dance floor. They can be so easy to forget, and yet in the moment they feel so eternal. 4 years of prom, of homecoming dances, of crowned kings and queens. At the time, everything feels immediate, hot and real and absolute, like the blood pumping through your veins and the sash around your shoulder are one. They'll both last forever. We were born to be immortal, and so are all of our greatest triumphs. Our dances will spin forever, and we'll never forget the shape of our best friend's face or the crinkle of the lines around her eyes. But the thing is, I don't remember so much the dresses I wore to all the dances, or what the other kids did, or where I went, or who I talked to. Moments. That's all I have in the end. Blends of sweat and tears and hot, liquid laughter. You remember the feeling, not the details you were sure contained the secret to forever. Moments. Sitting in the library with whoever shares a free block. where do you work? What's your senior project? You might ask them, creating that ironclad kind of acquaintanceship that always seems to somehow weather decades. You could meet them years from now and it would be the same smile, the same tilt of the head. Those moments wandering aimlessly down the halls and knowing eventually, inexorably, I will end up making tea in Mrs. Crawford's room. Listening to Mr. Murphy and Mr. Obie mock each other mercilessly in the hallway. That is, mock each other or mock their treasured students. Or mock Mr. Willis. Or mock the universe at large, really. There's just an insane amount of mockery that goes on at this school, and someone should definitely look into that. There's that time that Nora Bright and I switched clothes for a whole day, just for the heck of it. There's that time that Miss Hart will remember when I tried to give a Latin presentation with an English accent, and I rightly got a B. There's that time that I cried in all the bathrooms. There's that time that I laughed hopelessly at Snowed In, the lost masterpiece of our decade. These are the brief collections of moments I so desperately want to hang on to. Grains of sand running through my fingers, through an hourglass counting down those seconds until the end. It's not the big stuff I remember, standing here at the other side of it all. It wasn't the classes I took or the finals I failed. It's the little stuff. The feelings that I didn't think would blossom in my heart at goodbye. 'Cause it's weird the way that places become home to you. The way you step into a building for the first time and it's totally unfamiliar. You can't imagine all the times that you'll lean against a wall or walk barefoot over the carpet or have screaming matches with your best friends. You can't imagine the horrible, wonderful, truly terrible jokes that you'll make or the life that you'll create for yourself. And then one day, you pause at the door and you look back and you realize suddenly you've made a place for yourself in the world. One more ecosystem where you are wanted, where you are cherished, where you are loved even. And maybe you didn't realize that it was love. And sure, it's easy to focus on all the bad stuff, the moments alone in the library or staring at your zit in the mirror. But in the end, it's the moments that we choose to remember that make up the whole of us. And the moments that we choose, the moments that I choose, are the good ones. I started writing this speech during senior banquet. Well, really, I started writing the speech one time freshman year when I lost track of time when I was on a walk, and then it started to get dark and I was still in the woods and I got really scared. And so, I did what any normal kid would do, and I started reciting the speech that I would give at graduation. Normal kid stuff. However, this specific iteration of the speech I started writing during senior banquet. And there was something so intensely telling about sitting at that table with a pen and paper in my hand. So much had changed. So much had stayed the same. It was one of the good moments. One of the few times that this class has felt like one class, one unified force against loneliness and regret. I could see us solidifying into the shapes of our future selves, the rigid standards we held in high school beginning to blur, to meld with the people that we will so soon become. I wish that I could capture the minutes of this moment like I managed to capture the intimations of that one. Capture it in a box somewhere and step inside it at my leisure. This gown against my skin, the timbre of the sky, and the deep, resolute terror gnawing at my insides. I am so afraid. I am so afraid because I am so close to that great beyond. We are all so close to that impossible optical illusion of adulthood. I know that it won't be handed to us like some trophy the second our fingers hit the diploma, and it's not like we'll be better or stronger or smarter after our feet hit the grass at the other side of the podium. But there's an undeniable sense of otherness to the other side. This is a moment. One of the moments that really matter, that mean we are growing up. We are moving on. Whether it's a new job or a new school or a new horizon outside your window, the easy routine of the past 4 years will be interrupted, and there's something so unspeakably exciting about that fact. So undeniably terrifying. I have sat in those chairs for the past 4 years and watched anonymous faces clutch these diplomas. Beautiful speeches from friends and family, the raw hope,
the shining excitement. Years from now, this will be something that we come back to. This is what we will hold as a standard for what greatness feels like. And much like the senior banquet where I started this speech, I want one moment of quiet. One single second in this time of noise, of celebration, of congratulations and tears and laughter and shouting and high-fiving and handshaking and screaming and hooting and hollering. This is the top of the mountain range. And we've all climbed for so long and for so far, and it's stunning to so suddenly realize that there is a millions to go. There are cures to find and numbers to get and whole lives to lead, and that will happen. We will do that, just like we did this. But first, a moment. One moment. Because for me, there has always been something about moments of quiet in the midst of noise. We did it, you guys! We really did it!
So we're almost there. I purposefully make sure that my part here is very short because, well, first of all, I know you're not here to listen to me. I know you're here to see these folks get their diplomas, and I am now the one thing standing between you and your diploma. So I recognize that. But really, probably most importantly, and I've done this every year, kept this very short because there is no way to follow that. Another round of applause for our speakers. A couple of quick things before we move on, though. First of all, I would like to once again, officially and formally, give a heartfelt congratulations to the class of 2018. You have done amazing things in your time here. We are so proud of you, and you have certainly earned all of the recognition that you have achieved. The other thing that, yep, that's worth an applause. Just a few quick thank yous. To pull together both last night and today really is a team effort. So all of the staff of the Bellows Falls Union High School contribute something, some in small and some in large ways to pull this off. In particular, I'd like to do a shout out to Mrs. Cravino, Jen Cravino. She puts a lot of effort into making sure this comes out perfect. So once again, congratulations to the class of 2018, and without further ado, we are going to move on to the presentation of the diplomas.
Ready? Okay. Danielle Nicole Marchica, Class President, National Honor Society and National Technical Honor Society. Sarah Jane Scarlett, Class Secretary, National Honor Society, National Technical Honor Society. Wesley Joseph Austin. Tegan Anthony Bacon. Haley Jean Baker. Connor Lloyd Barry. Nicholas Elmer Bashaw. Ariana Lee Beltran Rosario. Anthony Joseph Benware. Chloe Marie Benware. Eamon Elliston Bingham. Mariah Amanda Bird. Katrina Dorothy Bostwick. Savannah Nicole Bradbury. Jacob Ernest Brandon. Grace Victoria Brissett. Faith Crichton Byfield, third honor, National Honor Society. Zachary Allen Chapin. Regan Catherine Baldacero, class treasurer, National Honor Society. Paxton Daydream Santarelli, class vice president. Dominic Elizic Chase. Kiana Lee Chesley. Shane Donzello Clark. Spencer Gordon Clark. Kylie Elizabeth Comstock. Bailey Joan Davis. Haley Marie DeSalle. Madison Marie DiBernardo. Derek Wyatt Dickerson. Brianna Michaela Donahue. Clayton Douglas Grunwald. Hannah Margaret Harlow, Salutatorian, National Honor Society. Wiley Allen Haskell. Shane Michael Healy Fletcher. Molly Alexandra Howe. Abigail Elizabeth Jones, National Honor Society. Reese Nicholas Jones. Kaya Rose Kendall. Nina Marie King, National Honor Society. Jarrett Evan Lipinski, National Technical Honor Society. Alexis Tracy Larson. Ethan James Loracella, National Honor Society. Charity Lynn Lawrence. Keenan Paul Lowe. Julia Rose Martin. Jacinta Lynn McAllister. Jordan Elliott Metcalf. Theophilus Duke Pillette, National Honor Society. Nicholas John Potter, National Honor Society. Colby James Record. Abigail Skylin Riendo. Emily Lynn Roll. Laurel Elizabeth Silas Saltadima. Zoe James Shem, valedictorian, National Honor Society. Jordan Brent Washburn. Catherine Lee Wilkinson, National Honor Society. Noah Christopher Wilkinson. Calvin Parker Wyman. Jared Michael Zobku. Ladies and gentlemen, the class of 2018.
You can be seated.
Four years later, leading up to this moment, here and now, achieving everything in between. As our lives begin today, our shared memories may begin to fade. So remember this moment. Remember this feeling we are embracing right now. As Scotty McCreery wrote, 5 more minutes is an exceptionally profound lyric when your senior year begins in the blink of an eye. With approximately 2 minutes to spare before we toss our caps high in the air, I would like to share our class. Oh man, our class. How do you capture us in a minute? We are straight out of motivation. A prime example is losing every single winter carnival, as stated before. But that is a record for the Terriers, so good for us. Along with this achievement, I wonder how many seniors turned in their community service hours in the final 5 minutes there were to spare, or tried to present their senior project in the last time slot there was. We may be out of motivation, but every minute counts, right? Luckily, we have taken these last 5 minutes seriously. If the class of 2018 simply sits back for a moment to allow the nostalgia to seep in, Think of this. Most of us have been together since kindergarten, some even daycare. Think back, 17 years morphed together into this very moment, seated in our caps and gowns, preparing to let go. I remember how nervous we all were our first day of freshman year, entering a school with no walls and new faces, but eventually coming together officially as the class of 2018. Look at us now, side by side, cherishing our most recent memory, our diplomas, and building our crooked, unsteady float that will hopefully be able to hold the queen in her court. Maybe those girls riding on the float will wish to spend 5 more minutes on their ride, waving to the little girls looking up at them. When I think back to 5 minutes, I contemplate where I would go if I had 5 more minutes here. I simply cannot answer. My wish would be to have 5 more minutes with the Terriers on the field hockey field, holding up our trophies and singing Long Live. I imagine the 5 minutes the football boys would love to cherish, standing on the field with the light shining down on them one last time. Imagine 5 more minutes staring out into the crowd, flowers in hand, bowing to the audience after you killed your last performance. However, more importantly, imagine 5 minutes of our class together, living our normal, simple lives that include each other. Truthfully, 5 more minutes would simply not be enough with all of you. Although senioritis may have hit our class sophomore year, I know this old life will leave us wishing that we had 5 more minutes. Let's all take a second and recognize where we are right now, in this very moment. These are the final moments we will share with each other for the rest of our lives. Breathe it in and look around you, because tomorrow we will start a new chapter of our lives in our own unique paths. Thank you to everyone who came out to see our incredibly small but special class. Congratulations, class of 2018. We are officially alumni.
At this time, I would like to invite Mr. Ben Mashur, President of our Alumni Association, to the podium to present the one and only award that we present at graduation, the Alumni Award.
Good evening and congratulations, Class 2018. This year's Alumni Prize is awarded to an extraordinary young woman. She stands out as one of the most positive, kind, and genuinely enthusiastic people in the history of BFUHS. She is charismatic, bright, driven, and works diligently to reach her goals, smiling along the way. A natural-born leader in every aspect of both her academic and personal experiences. She exudes positivity, encouragement, and a healthy attitude for life, all necessary characteristics of an effective leader. A young woman of many talents, she possesses a level of maturity, integrity, grace, wisdom, and stamina to afford her the passion she holds for her future in the medical field, while demonstrating deep compassion for her patients. Her spirit and genuine love for life and the people in it will exceed any and all expectation. On behalf of the Alumni Association, I am pleased and honored to present the 2018 Alumni Prize to Sarah Scarlett.
Would you all please rise and join us in our school song?